This is The Guide Gals, a modern, wedding-focused podcast by the experts at Here Comes the Guide. I'm Chelsea, a designer and inspired creative who's probably racked up over 9,000 hours on Pinterest, and the friend who's going to shoot it to you straight.
And I'm Caroline, a social media manager who is obsessed with dogs as ring bearers and will inevitably cry over your wedding video. We've seen it from all sides. We've been brides, planners, bridesmaids, and have worked with standout brands throughout the industry.
Think of us as an extension of your wedding party and hang out with us as we share the ins, outs, ups, and downs of the road to I Do. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Guide Gals podcast. Today we're diving into one of the most common questions that we get, which is, do I need a wedding planner if my venue provides an in-house coordinator? So we're going to get into that a little bit, what that all means, and what it is that you need for your event.
The difference is hard to figure out if you are not in the wedding industry, so it's definitely a question we get a lot of which one do I need?
Yeah, so in this episode, we're going to give you details on exactly what planners are, exactly what coordinators are, what you should expect from those two different types of people, and whether or not you think that you should have both. The answer is going to come down to you and your event, what you think that you need. But we'll give you our opinions on that, of course.
Of course. But before we jump into that, I have to know, Chelsea, what are we drinking today?
Today I'm just having some water. I've got this giant thing and I have water in there and it has Element in there. I don't remember what flavor. Raspberry, I think.
Ooh, I do love raspberry.
Just have like a baseline of like slight dehydration, like all the time.
Which isn't good because now that we're in summer, it's hot. It's been very hot, and I feel like I'll drink an Element on the days that I am doing a workout, which is most days, but especially in the summer, I'm like, no, I'm probably going to have one like every day, which I think is good.
I'm addicted a lot to the Elements. Oh, yeah. I love them.
Yeah, I will say I've noticed less headaches and stuff for me at least, so I think that I'll take it. And also tastes good. Anyways, I'm drinking a rhubarb strawberry soda from Trader Joe's.
That's fancy.
Picked them up the other day. I don't know. It is a very light flavor, and it feels very refreshing. It's not, I don't know if I'll buy it again, I guess, is what I'll say. I like it. I just don't know if I'll buy it again. I love anything that is rhubarb and strawberry, so it really caught my eye, but
the can is
like
cute.
The can is so cute. It's so little. It's the perfect amount of like carbonation. Love the ingredients in it, and it doesn't have a lot of sugar other than like natural sugar. So
there you go.
It's fine.
Okay, so do you need to hire both a coordinator and a planner, or do you need to hire a planner if your venue comes with a coordinator? So the short answer is that it depends. It really is going to be up to you. But it's important that you know the details on like what each of them do so that you can even make that decision for yourself. Both are going to be really valuable to your wedding, super helpful people to have in your back pocket. And there are some similarities and maybe even a little overlap in the different roles, but there are some major differences too. So I am first going to dive in and talk all about venue coordinators. So I'll go ahead and read you a bit of a definition for venue coordinators. So this is going to be a person whose profession is to organize groups so that they work together efficiently within the rules and regulations of a particular facility, as well as oversee the facility's operations. So I'm going to say that in English now. So a venue coordinator is going to be primarily responsible for managing the logistics related to the venue itself. And that is going to be why a lot of venues will tell you that they have a coordinator that comes with your wedding, so that they'll be there to help you the day of, that kind of thing, because they know that venue like the back of their hand. That's their whole job. So these people will also a lot of times be there on your initial site tour. So you might like meet them right off the bat. You might know exactly who they are. And then like they said, their superpower is really going to be that they know your venue really, really well. So that's going to be super helpful. And it's really great too if you are able to meet them at a venue tour like right away before you even decide. It's really great if you have a good connection with them and you really like them, because they will be a big part of your day and they're someone that you and your bridal party are going to be connected with throughout the whole day. So now I am going to get into what like tasks that they typically take care of. So I'm just going to go ahead and read off my list here. But they're going to be in charge of making sure that the event space is clean and all ready to go for whatever you need for your day. They're going to facilitate the layout and help set up the main floor plan. So this is going to be like any furniture, any room flips. Like say if you're doing your ceremony and your reception in the same place, they're going to like move tables, chairs, whatever needs to be moved in and out. But they don't necessarily always handle outside rentals. So if you're renting, I don't know, like decor or even furniture from outside places, like places that are not your venue, they might not handle that. You might need someone else to handle that. That might be where a planner comes in or someone else, a member of your wedding party that has that assignment, something like that.
Yeah.
So they're also going to be in charge of handling on-site catering and in-house bar service. So a lot of venues have like that kind of comes with it. They have a caterer there on site. They have bar staff on site, and that will be up to them to handle all of that stuff if it is, at that venue. They're also going to direct the loading and unloading of vendors as they set up. So as your vendors arrive, like your florist, any like decor kind of people will get there early. They're going to tell them exactly where they need to go, exactly like who they need to connect with in order to get everything set up properly. Same with caterers, DJ, all of that. They know exactly where those people will be placed. So they're going to help you with that. They will also help with the managing of like their arrival of your guests, flow of traffic, parking for your wedding guests. So they're going to either be directing them themselves, or they probably more likely have people like on staff, wedding venue staff, that they're going to be telling like, okay, the guests are arriving, we need to make sure they go here or whatever. But all of that will be organized by a coordinator. And then, of course, they're going to be in charge of upholding the venue's policies. So if your venue has strict rules on anything, they're going to make sure that those rules are followed. That's great. They also will likely handle the technical operations of the venue, including like lighting, AV system, any of those kind of details. A coordinator is going to handle all of that. More so logistics stuff that is involved directly with the venue.
Yeah. But keep in mind that because every venue is different, every venue coordinator's job might look a little bit different.
Yeah.
You do want to kind of have a conversation with them. Like Chelsea said, you might have met them already. If you haven't, start that conversation. And if this is a role that's very important to you, booking with some place that has a great venue coordinator could, I don't want to say make or break, but just could make your wedding experience a lot better or potentially a lot worse, because you heard the list of things that they handle. And if they can do all of those things and do them well, of course it'll make your wedding experience better. But just know every on-site coordinator's job is going to look a little bit different, but this is a very general list that we think they should cover.
These are really important questions to ask, especially if you're thinking that you'll probably forgo a planner. I know we haven't gotten into the planner details quite yet, but you'll want to make sure that you know exactly, if your venue comes with a coordinator, exactly what is it that they're doing for you. And if you hear that list of things that they're doing for you, you feel like there are some missing pieces in that list, you absolutely will not be able to count on them to do anything beyond those responsibilities that they lay out for you. And if you really do need that extra help or whatever, you should probably consider hiring a planner.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Now we're going to talk a little bit about wedding planners. And I'm going to read a definition for that. It's a little bit shorter than the coordinator one, but it's just a person who plans and organizes weddings as a profession. So a wedding planner is going to be responsible for a lot more details, for overseeing and managing the entire wedding experience, regardless of where the couple ties the knot. They are hired by the couple, and they're going to work closely with them to understand their budget, preference, vision, all of that good stuff. And so a wedding planner has a little bit more that they need to handle. Yes, the coordinator is a lot of logistics, and the planner would do that too, but they're going to be handling some other details. So some of the things that a wedding planner might cover is advocating on behalf of the couple in order to execute a vision. So really working with all kinds of vendors in order to make sure that a vision or a style comes together. And then overseeing and managing the wedding planning process. So, really making sure that they're sticking to a timeline, all of the details are getting done when they need to get done, and making sure that there's no crazy rush at the end. Like everything should be smooth sailing with a planner. And then they will also handle logistics outside the scope of just the venue, such as creating a wedding budget and tracking that and tracking the payments, attending site visits and tours with the couple, full event design, detailed timelines, and floor plans, even. And part of those floor plans, it would be like overseeing the seating chart and possibly even collecting RSVPs, attending vendor meetings, and reviewing contracts. I think that's a really important one too, that they help so much with not just the venue, they help with all of these different vendors and can make sure that your contracts have you in mind. They can help navigate tricky family dynamics. I think it's nice because they're like a middleman who can help say like, hey, we don't have this in the budget to add these 10 extra people. So it's a nice kind of buffer in that way. And they can handle a lot of last minute issues because they know the whole process. They're more able to pivot easily, I think. They can ensure that the wedding timeline is going as scheduled. And again, because they've seen that wedding timeline from its inception, they can make sure that any changes that need to happen or like can think ahead to what's coming next. And then they will pack up your personal items after the reception. So they really are this liaison between the couple, between the vendor teams, the venue, family. It's this perfect kind of go-to point person. And they will help also direct the rehearsal, the ceremony, and any other associated wedding events.
Yeah, I like what you said at the top there is that they kind of help with the full wedding experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like it's much more for a planner's duties. It's much more than just the wedding day, where the coordinator is going to be more so like the day, like the event. And there are going to be things that go into it before then. Of course, like both the coordinator and the planner are doing some prep work for that. But I think that's a very simple way to think about it. But with your planner, so all planners are going to be unique, just like all the venues are unique, and all vendors really are going to have different packages and different offerings. So with your planner, like they might do all of those things that Caroline mentioned, but they also might not. So it's something to look into, figure out exactly what you want and need, and then figure out exactly like what they offer. So I think it's pretty common for planners to have almost tiered packages. So they might have a lower level one that includes like the essentials, bare minimum, and then they might have on like the highest end something that contains everything that you might need, even the stuff that you didn't even think that you wanted. They would have that for you. So that's really important. Figure out exactly what's included, exactly what their responsibilities are. And if it's unclear, make sure you ask questions. Just like with, I know we've talked a lot about like photographers and videographers and stuff like that, making sure that they can capture your vision. This is so important as well. Like for planners, you want to make sure that they know exactly what you need and you feel very comfortable with them, because if you're hiring like a full service planner, they are going to be so very involved in your wedding experience, the entire thing from start to finish. So you want to make sure that, step one, make sure that you really like them and that you guys get along. And then also make sure that you trust them to carry out your vision, exactly what you're looking for. So
totally. And I think it is really important to think about really that difference between the full service wedding planner and a month of or day of coordinator, because it can be so, again, if you're not involved in the wedding industry, it can be so easy to assume that one role is going to do this and the other one doesn't, or vice versa. And so having this as a point of making a decision can also help you figure out which one you need. And we say which one because really, as you think about all the things that we just listed that each of these roles does, if you don't hire someone who's either a coordinator or a planner, you assume all of those roles, or a family member assumes all of those roles. So we want to give you all this information so you can help decide which one. Now, I know it may not be a part of everyone's budget. It really is a good investment. So just thinking about which one you might need. Maybe you can just afford a coordinator. That's great. Honestly, they handle so much and you will be so much less stressed the month of your wedding, like month before and the day of. So kind of some final things to talk about the differences between these two is The full service wedding planner guides couples throughout the entire planning process. We already said this, start to finish. And typically they work with a couple at least 6 months prior to the wedding date. That's kind of the minimum of time they need. Of course, you may hire someone sooner than that, especially if you have like a specific wedding planner in mind or this big vision, whatever. But yeah, at least 6 months prior. And think about that. That's 6 months of way less stress. Like I know so many couples who go through 6 months of chaos of trying to figure out, how do I handle these RSVPs? How do I handle these weird dynamics? Oh no, this vendor just canceled on me. Who do I find it as a replacement? A planner helps all of that.
Yep.
And so you can just know that you're like, so like all of your plans are so much more secure.
I will say too, like Caroline said at the top of this, like if you don't have in the budget to hire whatever, and like those responsibilities fall on you. Now on your wedding day, like the bride or the groom or whoever is probably not going to handle that per se. What will happen is like they're probably going to assign it to a member of the wedding party. Like, oh God, please don't let it be the best man. But like, can you really count on them? I don't know. Like, can like, you know, your cousin really handle that stuff? Like, I don't know. But the professionals, you can count on them. They will not be partaking in the open bar. Like, you can count on them.
I've been a part of so many weddings where somehow I become a coordinator during the wedding.
Oh my God.
And it's like a joke between my husband and I, like at some point someone will give me a job or I will find a job. Sometimes I do put that on myself, like I find a job, because I watch things happen where I'm like, that's what a coordinator would have done. That's what a planner would have done. Nobody's doing it, and I know it needs to be done. And sometimes I can't help myself. But there are times where like the wedding party gets ready to walk down the aisle and they're like, when do I, like, you're supposed to rehearse at the rehearsal. They're like, who's going to tell us like when to go? Like I can't see around the corner of like when to go. And so at points I've been the person who's like, okay, go ahead. And I've helped clean up. I've helped set up things. All that to say, yes, people at your wedding will step up and will want to do that. But will it be done to the degree or in the way that you want it to be done?
Well, if it was Caroline, yes.
Yeah, I would make sure. It's done the way that you want it to. Your cousin, your sister may not know exactly what to do with it or what you want. And also, it's definitely, some of the weddings I don't mind. It's super fun. Other weddings, it has actually been of detriment to how I experienced it. Or I've taken the role of a coordinator from a mother once because I was like, no, you should be enjoying this day. Yeah. I don't know why you're doing this.
Don't give your mom those tasks.
No, don't give your mom. I've seen aunts do it, and I'm like, that's good. Like, you're involved enough that feels, but that's why we want you to know these differences, to know everything that they do.
It's a lot of work.
So you can make a decision. It's a lot of work. You should know it can be done without a coordinator, without a planner, but you have to communicate really what these roles are, who's doing them ahead of time, to make sure things don't go wrong. And really, like, if you are going to hire, and again, we think you should, a day of or month of coordinator, they are going to help so much with those logistics. So you can do a lot of the planning things on your own, save some money in that way. But they usually step in at least, I think, 4 weeks ahead of time. So there's not really such a thing as a day of coordinator. So there's not really such a thing as a day of coordinator, but they step in 4 weeks ahead of time and will help you make sure that all logistics are going as smoothly as possible. And in a lot of ways, a coordinator will even step up into maybe more of planner roles on that day and just make sure everything happens smoothly. So this is a piece that is going to take so much weight off of your shoulders. Everybody knows who that point person is too, because that's the coordinator. And if it's someone outside of your immediate family and friends, like, it's great because then they can also be a buffer in between maybe weird family dynamics or weird dynamics between the wedding party or vendors. It's just a role that is so necessary. Yes, it could be a family or friend, but again, I'm going to keep saying it. We think you should hire someone. It's a good thing to do.
Yeah, I know I already said this. They're going to be so much more dependable, and it will take a lot off of your shoulders, because even the act of delegating and communicating, figuring out what needs to be done, who should I give it to, should I really give it to them, like, that's a lot of work in itself, the delegating, and then you do have to count on whoever you give this to. So yeah, your weird cousin, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
One last thing. I think there's been almost a hybrid of the two roles that is starting to come up. So we've been saying venue coordinator, wedding planner. There's almost an idea of a wedding coordinator that has come up, and they start in the process with like 4 to 8 weeks in there. And you can hire them outside of the venue. A lot of times venues will sometimes provide a coordinator or something. They may just be day of or that week beforehand type of thing. A wedding coordinator, you can kind of make a hybrid of this role. So you would still do all the planning, but you hand over those plans at the 8 week mark. And at that point, they take over a lot of the roles of the coordinator and of the planner. So the venue coordinator may not pack up your personal belongings and like food for you afterwards, but a wedding coordinator might if you hire them to do that. Now, if you do hire a wedding coordinator, someone that is not hired by the venue, that you hire personally, that you're expecting more of, make sure that your contract, whatever you are doing, is really, really specific to make sure you get what you want out of it. And so you can kind of like, really get the best of both worlds, of both those logistics and some of the planning aspects.
Yeah.
Because if you want to be somebody who like at that 8 week mark, you don't think about payments anymore, you don't think about talking to vendors, having someone take that, I think is a really beautiful mix of the two. So if you hear wedding coordinator versus venue coordinator, that might be some of the differences in there too. Things can get pretty specific and confusing in a lot of ways in the wedding industry, but in case you hear that and are confused even further, that might be what they mean.
Yeah, that's a good call. I mean, a lot of these like wedding planners, wedding vendors in general, a lot of them are small businesses, and they really have their own packages for everything. They have their own offerings. So just make sure like there might be some sort of hybrid out there that you can hire. I'm sure that there is. Sure there's a bunch of them, but yeah, just really, really be clear on what exactly their packages include, what you're getting, what you need. Like, have a conversation. It's going to be really helpful. But in a nutshell, for this episode, an on-site coordinator is going to handle anything that is directly related to the operations at the venue, where a wedding planner is going to handle anything and everything having to do with the wedding journey, regardless of the location. So they will not be directly connected to the venue. They're going to be separate. A lot of times if you're hiring in your own area, where like the same area the venue is, they probably have worked weddings at a certain like your venue before, which is really great, but they're not associated. So in our opinion, having both is the ultimate win-win scenario. Of course, that is going to be a bigger expense. Of course, we all like nice things, okay? But your wedding planner will be your wing person throughout the entire wedding planning process. That is so nice to have. It takes a lot of stress off of you. I think that we've said before in past episodes, and I really stick to it, like beware of DIY. Beware of DIY. Like it will, do you want to break your back? Like trying to do it? It's a lot more work than it seems like. It really is. And these people, planners, coordinators, whatever, they're so immersed. This is their everyday job. They understand it so well. So it becomes very, very helpful. Your wedding planner is going to negotiate contracts. They're going to pin corsages. They're going to make sure that your first dance happens like when it's supposed to happen. They're going to be your ultimate advocate. They're also going to take care just like of all of those really tiny details that the venue coordinator is just not going to be bothered with.
Right. Really, the combo of venue coordinator and a wedding planner is amazing. I would also say specifically for weekend weddings, I think that's almost a must. One of our coworkers at Here Comes the Guide, her daughter's wedding was a weekend wedding, and there was so much going on in that. They had both a wedding planner and a coordinator, and they had decided between that duo was going to take care of what. And I think the venue coordinator kind of helped with or like oversaw the wedding, and then the planner oversaw the like welcome and the goodbye brunch. I don't exactly remember how it all panned out, but I thought that was a great use of the planner and coordinator duo. So it's a great thing to do if you have it in your budget or have the ability to have both. I really think that's a great thing.
Yeah, it can save time. It can even possibly save money on vendors in the long run. They know,
True.
like, if you have a budget you're working with and you share that with them, they might have suggestions, recommendations on stuff to do. So they really are experts. It's their day job, so they
Yes. Yeah.
they get it. But yes, I hope that this helps. I know that if I wasn't so immersed in the wedding industry myself, I would not know the difference between those two things. I mean,
Right. Yeah. It's confusing.
yeah, it is confusing, but we hope this was helpful to you in making your decision on who you need to hire, what's going to work best for you. If you have any episode suggestions for us, anything you want us to talk about, please reach out to us and let us know. You can find us at theguidegalspodcast.com. You can reach out to us there. You can also find our full episode library on there and lots of free wedding planning resources as well. You can connect with us on Instagram at the Guide Gals Podcast. We have a video component of every single episode that you can find on the Here Comes the Guide YouTube channel. And lastly, we are on TikTok too, at the Guide Gals Pod. So yes, that's where you can find us.
And we hope you do find us there because we love chit-chatting with you guys, hearing what you want to hear more about or showing us your wedding stuff. It really is the best thing ever. But I guess that's all for our venue coordinator versus wedding planner episode. So until the next one, cheers.
Yeah. Cheers.